What's up, everybody? We're back on the podcast before the podcast with another episode with Sabina, and I have a special guest here. You want to introduce yourself?
That's my last name.
Whatever you want to say.
My name is Dennis. I'll leave it at that because we live in a scam ass world. I'm Dennis from Long Island, New York. And yeah, I'm a father.
Okay, finished. First and foremost, before we get started, I will say a prayer. So I'm going to hold your hand. Dear Heavenly Father, I come to you humbly request. I ask for forgiveness of my sins, known and unknown. I thank you for waking me up today. I thank you for waking my family up. Let's take to this moment. I praise you. Come into the conversation. Let's just thank you for leading us here and pray for a good conversation. Keep us safe. I'm a little nervous just
Amen.
Okay, so
That's a normal feeling for you.
yeah. So we're gonna start off with some warm-up questions. It's time, a little icebreaker.
But
So I'm gonna ask you like 4 or 5 questions.
that's good.
What's your favorite color?
Red.
Red. Okay. Do you have a favorite number?
27.
27? Okay. What's something good that happened to you today?
I woke up.
Amen to that. And what you have for breakfast?
Pineapples.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, we have pineapples today. Doesn't usually happen that way, but coincidentally today,
I
we
love
have
pineapples. I
My
love
favorite fruit. Baby.
It's like, it's one of my list of my top 5.
Yeah, I'm allergic to some fruits. Other fruits I don't really like, but pineapple,
And pineapple.
that's my water, that's my snack.
That's good. That's healthy. Healthy as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're here. This is the Fatherhood series. This is going to be episode 2, and we're just here to shed some light on the fathers, get some advice from the fathers, hear about maybe some of your struggles, some of your strengths as a father, just to get into it a little bit. So you said you are a father. I'm sure if I ask you, how many children do you have?
I have one that's actually mine, and he has an older sister, which I've been supportive of since she was 9, and she'll be 18 this year.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And another dad with bonus kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I mean, when I came into her life, I didn't try to take over just the stepdad role, of being in a rush to play stepdad to make myself look better for their mother at the time. So we really having a situation where I'm really dealing with somebody that has their own child and taking that serious and not just saying I want to be there because it looks good. I didn't want to be there if it wasn't gonna lead to any type of consistent relationship between me and her daughter, even despite whatever may happen with me and her mother. So that's something I took serious even before then. Kids never been something I played with. So
That's really good because I know how it be challenging as a mom with a kid or kids going into a new relationship with someone that's not the other parent. And
yeah,
okay, so you said your son is how old?
5.
5.
Yeah.
So how does it feel to be a dad?
It's the best, at least for me. I feel like the more that I've been a dad, it's become more of a thing where I feel like this is one of the things I've been playing for. Like a lot of people will say, oh yeah, like he's the dad of the year, and I get compliments from me being a father and stuff like that, and those things feel good, you know what I mean? And it sucks that as black men, as we all know, we get a certain stigma on us, and I feel like that stigma has slowly become something of the past because nobody that I know don't take care of their kids. I don't associate with people that don't take care of their kids, and it's not something that at least I don't see that's so common. So there's a lot of other things that I see that are more now prevalent than before, but as far as like not taking care of kids, like that's never been an option for me on the good days, the bad days, the tired days, the depressed days, whatever days I'm showing up.
I love to hear all of that.
Yeah,
Okay,
showing up.
answer for that.
Yeah, showing up.
I love the fact that you said it's the narrative is changing that black men are fathers. Black men are great fathers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good that a light is being shed on my last episode we mentioned single fathers, how there's more single fathers around. And it's good that that's happening, and sometimes they get overlooked or because the bad ones are getting so much attention, it's like you think there's no good ones around, but they're here. And I also like the fact that you said that the people around you aren't deadbeats. They take care of their kids.
Yeah.
You don't hang around with men that don't take care of their kids.
Yeah. And that kind of watching friends and family kind of go through things with their significant others or the mother of their children at that time, it kind of prepped me for even things in ways that I have to act. Even not even just being a good dad. I feel like being a good dad also consists of being a good parent. There's a difference between being a parent and a dad, or a mom and a parent. Parenting consists of two people, and that comes with understanding and patience and communication and everything else. Accountability, like it can't just be I'm a good dad. It's just I come pick my kid up and I'm the greatest with him. Like this access and the respect boundaries that have to be respected on both ends. You're not gonna make it seem like it's just one side that needs to be respected more than the other. But as from speaking from my side, I feel like one of the things that a lot of men we kind of slip up on nowadays is letting our ego get in the way of being a parent. There's a lot of times that we could be quiet, and not just I'm not a male chauvinist or nothing, but as we all know, for the most part, women are based off of emotion, men are based off of logic. So with that being said, there are times when we have to sometimes bite the bullet to understand that we understand the bigger pictures as an emotion. In that moment, sometimes I don't make the greatest decisions, y'all don't say the best things, and y'all know what to say to make people feel a certain type of way. And sometimes as men, we feel like we have to defend that manly side of us to where we have to go to do that back and forth, or we have to be cold, or we have to be absent, or whatever the case may be because of an argument. Like nothing me and my son's mother go through ever affects me and my child. But I'm there or not, I'm always there ever since he's been born. And before that, there was a respect given to his mother. Regardless of how I feel about her in angry moments, and I have moments when I'm pissed off and everything else, we're not going to agree all the time. At the end of the day, that woman risked her life to give me a child. With that being said, there's another thing as well. I don't have to worry about when I bring my son home, what environment he's in. So there's certain things that we got to look past. Like, of course, my son's mother is a pain in the ass, like a lot of mothers are. However, there's certain things you got to respect about the fact, but with the ecosystem around your child, if that's taken care of, there's certain things there's certain arguments I don't even have, because it's like it's not even worth the gas that I'm about to.
You just said so much.
It's not even getting worth the gas to get where you're trying to get to about arguing with certain things. Some things are just best left by using your brain and letting them be emotional. You can talk about it another time.
Okay, you just said so much and so many great things. You just having a conversation yesterday, too, speaking on fatherhood, and one of like the father was speaking about some of the issues he was having, but he was like, one thing I know for sure is that they're being raised well. They're in a great environment. Like, that's something that you don't have to worry about, because that's something that a lot of fathers have to worry about sometimes. And you just make their situation even more complicated than what it already is.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that you said that you think that men get like the ego get in the way. I think that's true. I think that's for a lot of people, but especially how you explained it, that made a lot of sense to me. And speaking of that, there's this girl, her name is Tyler. I don't know her last name, but on Instagram, I believe it's Tyler Tells Stories, and she wrote a book called Heart or Ego, and it's a very good book, and I suggest you guys get that. It just made me think of that when you said that, because there be so many situations in relationships is mainly about where you don't realize if you're using your heart or your ego, and that can cause a lot of issues.
Yeah.
But
and it's a journey that you as a human by yourself. Like you can't always expect your significant other to be the reason why you decided to be a better person. Like a lot of stuff takes your own personal work before you even get to that point.
Knowing yourself.
Exactly, to where you take those moments to yourself to be like, yo, I'm tripping today, and I need to kind of work on that, and actually wanting to do that. It's one thing to tell yourself that you're doing something, but if you can continue to keep apologizing for that, at that point it becomes something that you're not really apologetic.
Exactly.
Actions speak louder than words.
Exactly. Apologies change behavior.
Yeah.
Oh, I will smoke a book.
Yeah.
Okay, so boom. So it sounds like, are you with your child's mother, or
No.
you're just co-parenting?
No.
Or you're together?
We work together, so that's one thing I was very lucky and blessed and also smart to have a child with somebody that I was with, and not just somebody that I happen to have a situation with. So
When you say with, you mean
I was in a
Someone that you
relationship
knew
with. Yeah, I knew her.
beforehand. Like
I knew her
how long would
for.
you say you knew her before
I
you?
knew her maybe for 3 years before we actually had a kid,
Okay.
and I knew her and was dating her a year before I even talked about meeting my daughter.
Okay.
So we had at least a good amount of time before we actually decided to try to have a kid.
That's
So
good. So I've heard that it's good to take your time with people and to see them in all different stages of life.
it is, and that's something that I feel like is underestimated nowadays because a lot of people try to put timelines on stuff. So
Yeah.
people be like, "Oh, well, it's been 2 weeks. I know this person," or "Oh, it's been
First of
2
all,
years."
it's been 24 hours. That's my man. I love him.
Exactly. It's weird to where
Nah, that's
people, a lot of people don't understand what forever means, and it shows
It is no
because
forever with
people-
somebody, first of all. You gotta kind of go into it knowing that nobody belongs to you. I hate to say it's just a moment, but it's really an experience. You can't really expect to be with somebody forever, but at the same time, I know there are like people who've been together for 70 years all their life, so.
Yeah, and that's because they came into an understanding the person that they
Yeah.
were dealing with, but also being understanding of that and not trying to always combat it. There's different things that it takes for relationships to work, and especially
Definitely.
being compared between back in the day to where nowadays you can't
can't
always
really-
necessarily ask mom or grandma how it should be working nowadays because things are totally
Totally
different.
different.
From the men to the women to the stores to the air we breathe is totally different nowadays to where we gotta kind of show up a different way, but it takes two people to do that. And that's why, like I was saying, like nowadays co-parenting has become like something that seems like it's the cool thing to do. Like I think this generation, I don't even know if it's my generation, but they've made it to where it seems like, oh, I could just have a kid. If it don't work out, then we can just co-parent. Like wanting a broken family is not the thing. That was never my
You think
thing.
that you think they want a broken family or?
Not but some people are too accepting of the failure of the family not working. Some people walk out over things that really aren't your ending a family for. Like people don't understand what that entails. What stress you put on that child, and people are not thinking about that. Like I said, that's what comes with the ego thing. You're not
That's
thinking
true.
about how that affects your child. How it affects your child to not be able to wake up to their father or their mother every single day.
That's
Whatever
absolutely
the case
true.
is. And granted, I'm not saying that you should stay somewhere where it's
I was
messed up
gonna
at.
say,
You should never do that.
That's
But
true.
what I'm saying is there's certain times, and there's a lot of cases where I know there's people that have ended their situation with people that they have kids with. Oh, bullshit. I'm sorry, I don't know if I can
Yeah,
curse
we
on
don't
that.
curse on
I'm
it.
sorry. Oh, BS.
Okay.
To where things can be worked through, and instead of 3rd week, you live in a time where everything is replaceable.
Okay.
You drop
so
your phone, you
I
go get a new
believe
one.
I hear you. I believe that there's a lot of truth in that.
Mhm.
I know that everybody's situation is different, so it depends. But I understand what you're saying. Like, there's a bigger picture. That's like when people say they get married, they don't believe in divorce. Like, we're not gonna get married to just get divorced.
Yeah.
We're married. We end
Yeah.
it together.
And then
we
it
make it work.
happens, and then it don't
And
work.
I believe that it should be even more so when you have a kid together, just for those simple reasons, like you said, no broken home. Every kid needs both parents. Like they need their father
Mhm.
just as much as they need their mother. And it's not fair to them that they can't have that together. But I think that goes back to, like we said before, knowing who you having a kid with, because that could save so much
Harsh,
so
stress
much
and
stuff,
everything,
like,
yeah.
and it's like we overlook that,
Yeah.
and then we get into the situation. Now we're forcing something that we already knew from before and shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
So even if we're staying in it and we're trying, if it was never supposed to be,
Yeah.
forcing it is not going to
Forcing it
make
for no
it.
reason, yeah.
The kids see,
Yeah.
like not some people know. I've seen parents know how to argue and the kids know nothing about it.
Mhm.
And I've seen somewhere that's just not possible. The kids
Yeah,
see it all.
everything, yeah.
So I guess it just depends on
Yeah.
how the situation is going.
Yeah,
but
no, because like
you
I
should definitely
yeah,
try to fight
your
to keep
happiness,
your family together.
exactly, your happiness is always what you should put in the forefront, because without you being happy and being healthy, nothing else that you care about can be taken care of. But I'm speaking as far as just the situations that can work,
Yeah.
and people just decide not to because it's easier to just say bye, and it's easier for the woman especially to be able to just tell the dad that now you have to come visit your child. 9 times out of 10, when the parents aren't together and the baby is born, The baby goes with the mom.
That's what we just was talking about.
The dad has to then make sacrifices and things, and exactly to where now it's like I have to maneuver a certain type of way to make sure that I'm able to see my child. And then that's when, like I said, that also leads back to ego and things like that. Some people mess it up for themselves. There's some situations where women are just being women glitter, whatever the case is, but there are also a lot of situations where men are the reasons why they aren't having the time that they would like with their child.
Yeah.
I don't have that problem. I could literally do this podcast right now and go pick my son up and not even have to call his mother to ask him. Why? Because
And that's a great thing. So let's talk about that a little bit. So you've never had, or you ever had issues with child support, ever issues with,
no.
It sounds like y'all have always gotten along, never had arguments, fights.
No, we've had those things to where, like I said, it took a lot of my own growth. It took a lot of me trying to get us to therapy together individually, to where when, like I said, when I'm fighting from my world and you're fighting from your world, you tired from kids, I'm tired from work, and in my mind I'm providing, and that in your mind you're a single parent because I'm never home, whatever the case is. Me hearing her say things like, feel like I'm doing it by myself, sounded like a attack.
While you're in the household, you heard that?
No, it'll be, so at one point when my son was
when I say in household, I mean like living together.
Yeah.
Y'all together.
Yeah, when my son was first born, I was working in the morning, and then I worked 2 jobs and I was going to school for HVAC. So I would go to work in the morning, and in between jobs I stop at the house real quick, see what's needed, spend a little bit of time with my son, go to the second job. After the second job I go straight to class, get out of class, and I come in the house, and it's not like I'm like, oh man, I'm tired, I gotta be up for 2 hours, do you mind giving him his bottle? No, he cried, picked it up too. I still give her break because I understand that whatever you've been going through today, I'm a person where I'm able to manage my load and carry a little bit extra. And I feel like as a dad, that's what I'm supposed to do at that time. So I feel like I was supposed
Remind me to ask you to give us some of them tips on how you manage your load and take a little extra. Amen to that.
It's like we definitely don't, I won't say we've never, it took a lot of arguments and things like that to get to the somewhat smooth sailing that we're at now. But it also took, like I said, I'm not a person where I don't stress what I can't control. So I had to stop trying to control and navigate her mind and trying to figure out why she moves how she moves. So where I just understand she moves that way. So where at some point I have to be the person to understand where, like, I'm not old enough to I tell her, like, you too grown to just be like, that's just how I am. But at the same time, I'm not about to continue to fight with you over certain things, especially when I get to see my kids. So there's certain bumps in the road and things
so
like that.
So then what time do you have to argue and fight about seeing your kids?
No.
Okay.
No, it would might have more been something like her just being angry in the moment and saying something, and me, I'm not a person, because like I said, I earned the time that I get with my kid. So you're not going to tell me that I can't.
Okay, they're trying to threaten you, like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's not like,
you know that fight's coming at us.
Yeah, and it's not like, it's not like I caused any harm to the house or anything like that. So I'm never worried about her feeling threatened about me coming there. Like, she knows I'm not coming in that type of time, coming to get my kid. If you do anything to go against that, I'm just leaving. And we're not about to go any type of extra mile to prove any points, because you're only going to hurt yourself and him, because he want to see his dad, and his dad been there. And that's why, like I said, it's like a certain respect to where even in those moments, I feel like she has a moment of reflection to where she knows, okay, I might have messed up, because she knows the person that I've been for even before he got here. When she told me she was pregnant with him, the person that I was.
Speaking of the person that's who you was tonight, did you see any change in her as far as before she was a mom and after becoming a
Definitely did. I definitely did. And some were good, some were bad, but I was, as a man, I felt like part of my job of not experiencing postpartum before was to just be prepared. Meaning, I don't know what I'm even prepared for, but I know that if it's something that looks like it's out of the normal or out of this nowhere, be supportive of it rather than be combative of it. So there's been a lot of times where I've been wrong when I'm right. There's been a lot of times where I've been quiet when I probably should have said something. But at the end of the day, I don't understand postpartum. I'm not a woman. So, but then I also feel like with that, there's men that think just like me, that take a beating emotionally and sometimes even physically by being so understanding of not only just women but postpartum and emotions and Aunt Flo coming into town every month and everything like that. It's like with some men, I'm not saying all men, but there are some men that are really supportive and really try to make their woman or the women in their life easier. And there's some women that don't either appreciate it or they don't really realize what they actually have. And somebody that's very supportive of everything. This is what I be telling my son mom sometimes, like, I wish you could have some conversations with other moms and tell them the kind of father that you have of your child. Like, they will look at you like, you're tripping sometimes.
I'm telling you, because the kind of dads I know and I got, it's like, when I hear stories, I'll be like, what?
Yeah.
What? I don't be understanding, but, you know.
Yeah. And that's another thing, too, because I definitely don't want that to go unsaid. So, not only am I a father, but I'm a father of an autistic child.
Oh, wow.
So, something that's been, things that I've heard nowadays is like, I've been brought into like a different community of mothers and parents to where some mothers are out here parenting kids by themselves based off of the fact that their kid is autistic or special needs or whatever the case may be. And that's something that I feel like that along with postpartum, there's a lot of journeys that men like myself go through that we probably don't have outlets or even feel that outlets safe enough to talk about what we actually go through. Like me being a parent is the best thing that I've ever had. I wouldn't trade my sons for the world. Anybody that knows me, this day, my name don't start with an A. That's my son's in it. So Aiden. Everybody knows how I am about my kid if you know me. But like this, how my parenting is and how my adulting is and everything like that, I didn't picture it this way. I didn't picture me having to have certain steps with my son. Like, don't get me wrong, my son has come a long way from where he was when he was one. But it hasn't been what I've expected it to be. So with that being said, just as a parent in general, there's no book to how this is going to go. Your love for your child should lead you to wherever you need to be for your child, however that needs to happen.
I'm living with all these children in here.
So I'm just saying, like, it's just my son being autistic and me growing up in a house with people that I didn't have to wonder or where I was gonna get a hug and a kiss or anything like that. Thank God to where I'm an affectionate person. So my son receives an abundance of love from his dad, and I had to, like I said, being that I didn't know how to navigate through being a dad of an autistic child, it just made me more in tune with my child. When my son couldn't speak and tell me what he wanted, I had to know my child well enough to know what he wanted. I had to study my child. And still to this day, I know my child. I tell him all the time, I know you better than you know yourself, bro. And like I said, nowadays, flash forward to year 5, he's became a lot further. He's talking. He does what every normal kid does, and he's made it a lot easier for me to deal with. To where, bro, compared to when I first found out, it was tough. I used to cry, all type of stuff, wonder what's going on, what would happen. Everything else is at the third grade. To where now, I take on this journey with him because I feel like it's our journey. It's not just him going through anything, because I'm a fully active parent. Like I said, 24/7, 365.
I love that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. You mentioned your household growing up. So you come from, tell me about your childhood.
I grew up, yeah.
Okay.
No, I didn't grow up in a two-parent house. I grew up raised by a beautiful black woman. Man, I grew up with raised by a beautiful black woman that did what she needed to do. And I feel like even with that, what you growing up in a two-parent home, and of course there's benefits to it, but you become your person as what you go through. Your parents still have foundation in your brain too. You always got things you turn back into, but you become who you are based off of where you've been, who you've been around, what you've been through, etc., etc.
I said that on my last episode that sometimes you will have come from the parent will come from stuff. Somebody will come from a household with just a mom and not have a dad and grow up to be the dad that they didn't have missing in their child's life, or grow up to be a great dad because they didn't have a dad. So that is facts.
There's benefits to both sides, and it's definitely wonderful for you to grow up with both. But nah, I didn't grow up with.
It's not impossible to be great with just one.
Exactly. And I grew up well enough with my mom doing the job.
Um, so we were saying that it's a great thing, being raised by a single mom. You know, some people say that single moms can't raise well behaved, successful young men. And I think you're an example of that.
I
So
don't think it's the ideal because, like I said, there are things the same way that kids need their mom need. I mean, the kids need their dad as well. So I feel like this is a lot of narratives to where it seems like one role is more important than the other. And but I also is exactly, but it's also not impossible for a single woman to do what she has to do to raise a good kid. So I feel like a lot of people might try to bash women for staying in situations where they probably shouldn't have been, and finally finding the strength to say, you know what, I'm gonna do this by myself. There are situations where being a single parent is absolutely necessary, and those women I give it up to.
yeah,
That's why I hold my mother on the pedestal that I do. If my mom didn't.
and you know what? There's so many women who don't realize that they still trying to make it work for the family, knowing that it's holding on by a thread, and they're still afraid to of how it would be if they left and then they're not with them no more, and they have the kids and doing it alone, so they stand and don't even realize the damage they're doing. But one thing I wanted to ask you, so as far as not having your dad, like was he? I don't know how much you want to talk about it, but like, was he just absent? Was he like a come and go? Was he
My
like
dad was absolutely absent.
absolutely absent?
Absolutely absent.
So is there anything that you feel like maybe you could have known more of, or where he was missing that you gave more to his son, or
Absolutely, and I feel like that. I've definitely acknowledged that, but I'm a person where I'm not gonna just look for the problems. I'm looking for solutions as well. So my solution to that, and in my process of even thinking about that was, for instance, I wanted my first child to be a girl so bad,
why was
super
that?
bad. I think it's because of my relationship with my little sister. If anybody knows my little sister and me, like I said, y'all know how close I am with her. So I feel like she
How
kind of
old is your
set.
sister?
She is.
Well, how far are y'all?
I am 8 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, so I feel like she kind of set the footprints for me wanting a girl for my first child, but I feel like I got what I needed to have, and that came with me feeling like there were certain things where I was growing at that point, but there were certain things I needed to grow up doing and mature with and to learn and stuff like that. With a little girl, I feel like my only job is to protect, support, and spoil you. When I have a son now, I now have to teach you things. I now have to show you what kind of man you need to be. I need to set footprints for you and a certain foundation and things like that for you to actually be not only a good citizen but an actual man in the world that he may grow up in. My world that I grew up in may be totally different from the world that he may grow up in. Maybe worse. It may be better, but my job has become now with the understanding that I didn't have the two parents and I didn't have the guidelines to being a man. I grew up figuring out how to be a man on my own. But I feel like me striving to be the best that I can be has made me strive to now become a better man. So where I'm learning about things that I need to learn about, learning about life insurance, learning about just things to where I'm not just leaving my son a couch and a t-shirt when I leave this earth.
Exactly.
And a lot of people don't take that serious.
That's a whole nother.
They don't take that serious,
Whole
and
nother
like
conversation.
even
That's
with
a fact.
yeah, and even when people like saying like we have a stigma just amongst black people, like we look at it like, oh, well, white people, well, you grew up with a silver spoon. Like I want my son to have a golden spoon. Like I'm putting in work now, so he has a way better start. My son gonna know what it means to work hard and to earn things and to deserve things and this, that, and the third. But he's not going to have to get it out the mud.
Right.
My son, I'm gonna get it out the mud
Yeah.
for him, so that way he can have a different type of lifestyle. Like
That's
some people
great.
don't think
That's
about
great.
that.
I feel like all aspects is great. The ones who setting it up so they don't gotta get it out the mud, they get it out for them. The ones who, things happen and they gotta get it out the mud for a little while, but I'm still setting you up for, your future, your
Yeah.
success. As long as you have the mindset to know that they need to leave them something, you need to teach them things that you won't always be here.
Yeah.
Especially like I have a deceased other parent already, so I have children who have a deceased parent, and it's like I know God willing, I don't think I'm going nowhere no time soon, but it can happen.
Yeah.
It's like when it does, what have you, like, where are they? What are they
Exactly.
left with? Like,
Yeah.
you know, so that
Yeah.
is deep. That's a whole nother
It's
conversation.
definitely, yeah.
But very,
I've seen people
very important.
I've seen people recently pass, and they've been like around my age of people that either I've grown up in a neighborhood with, or when I was in the clubs, I used to see them in clubs all the time, and it's like when I see them die, it's like that person's half of whatever they provide in that household is not no longer there.
Yeah.
And on top of that, the biggest blow of anything, kids growing up without a parent.
Yeah.
That's like sometimes just parents that put themselves in different situations to where sometimes you don't really gotta go there, bro. You don't really gotta go there, sis. That party really is not that popular.
Yeah.
So where people put themselves in certain situations, even with people that they got problems with, because they want to prove points and everything. Like my main objective whenever I leave the house to get back to my son.
That's true.
There's nothing
That's true.
more important than that. Some people
That's
don't
true.
get
That's
that.
another conversation.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
God willing, God, thank God that when we do leave the house, we do make it back home. But
Yeah.
sometimes we could be just on our way to the supermarket.
Yeah, and that's the crazy world we live in now.
Make it back.
You don't know what's gonna happen. We could be in
Yes.
Walmart going to get stuff for our
Right.
kids, being a good
Exactly.
parent, or something
That's a
happens.
fact.
So we're like you said, now it's about making every day count. It's very
Every day.
cliche to say, but we have to make every day count. Cause I could
And
be
enjoy the
make a
moment
home
of the day too.
Yeah, which is why
Don't
you
think
don't,
too much about the future because
Exactly.
it's not promised.
Exactly. You don't
Don't
want to take
stress
it too
over the
serious.
past because there's nothing else you can do about it.
Yeah.
Enjoy the moment.
Exactly. You taking it too serious. You try to think like at the end of the day, like I say, I want to make sure that my son has the best head start, but I'm not gonna live my life just for that. I'm living my life to also enjoy myself as a 30-something-year-old man. I'm
Right.
not putting that
Right.
on him. But I'm trying to enjoy myself as well. I want to enjoy fruits of my labor as well. It's not just me building for my son. I pray to live long enough to where I get to enjoy the fruits of my labor
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
But it's not promised. I could leave here tonight. I want to make sure that every day I count. I tell my son every day I
Right.
talk to him, I love him, and every day is a step forward toward making his future easy. You
Great.
gotta make it
Definitely.
now.
I wanted to ask, so your sister was her dad in
Yeah.
your life? Or was he like a father figure to you a little bit? Or
He was. He was. I would definitely say I still do kind of have somewhat of a relationship with him and stuff like that. As I've gotten older, even with me not having the son-father relationship with him, I've appreciated the father he has been to my sister.
right.
So with that, I respect it.
Has there been moments when he probably felt in the spot of what could have been your dad for you?
Yeah, at some point, yeah, but I felt like my mom pretty much was the
She didn't let it go too.
run. It wasn't even about I was never like a horrible kid to where he not there for. I mean,
Well,
I'm
now-
not
I
just
mean,
get
like-
around.
Like, not as far as you being a bad kid or happens to something or anything, but like teaching you things or like,
It would be certain. I would definitely say I don't want to undermine what because he definitely took me like fishing and stuff like that. Now I mean, there's certain memories that I have with him, so I'll definitely still hone into those things with me now being a father, and even when I had my son, like being at like I said, I don't know my pops. I never had a relationship with my pops. I had made a phone call to him, let him know like I want my son to be able to call you Papa or Abu, whatever the case is, because I mean usually it's probably the only
right,
figure, consistent figure that I can remember, and I mean that's been there. So like I said, for the respect of what he's done and who he's been for my sister, he's always somebody that I'll care for. But I don't feel like we have a certain bond to where he knows it's not like a father or son thing, but he has done things to where he kind of tried to fill in that gap. He didn't just come around saying I'm with your mom and I'm not just like much your dad. Yeah. So I think I kind of learned that from him.
That's a good thing because God is good. Sometimes where people think they lack God, or not even think sometimes you may. He just has a way of putting other people in places and other people in positions to not fulfill that spot, but a little bit, you know, or
Yeah.
you need it, or even show you an example because obviously he must have been a good example because he was a great dad to his sister,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
It sounded like you said, sometimes it don't take the big shabam or the wow moment for you to like he did that. Like it only take two roots to grow a tree. So even if one of the things you told me was to show up at home at the end of the day to work and to go outside on the weekend and not to sit in the house playing a game.
Right.
Well, those two things can go a long way. My
Yeah.
son don't sit in the house on the iPad all day.
Right. See?
My son get outside.
You know, signing that dirt.
Yeah, on the
Catching
dirt.
them lights,
Yeah, you gonna go. Yeah, my son to rip grass out
in
the
that
floor,
air.
picking up
Yeah,
leaves,
yeah,
all of
my
that.
kids
It's
feel
like
it.
I want him to.
It's fun.
Yeah,
It's still fun outside.
I want him to fully enjoy being a kid because that's a small window that I feel like we don't really miss or appreciate until we're too old to realize how far we are.
Exactly.
Like,
That's some.
just like everything else from here. Even I realized that when I put my son on the bus for the first time. It's like now, bro, you can't just lay in the house and do nothing.
Yeah, now
you gotta get up every day and go somewhere every day now until the formula changes. This is what you're doing from school to work, whatever it is. You got responsibilities now, so you got to realize it's a small window. So, and not only let them enjoy that, I fully enjoy my son at this point. He may be over 50 pounds and almost 4 feet tall, but when we walk, he's gonna get on my shoulders and we're gonna enjoy that walk. And I may be feeling it later on, but
it's great to hear and see. Just overall good dad, and I don't want to say good dad, but like a good mindset. It's fortunate for you, you're not dealing with none of the struggles that some other men deal with vindictive baby moms, and that was something that I have to touch on from my last episode. Have to clear up because there'll be some issues there. You know, it's a good thing you didn't have to deal with child support and being taken away from your kids and not being having to go through course period to tell you when you can or can't see something that you created. You know that's a lot.
yeah.
So I don't know if you could give much advice to a father that is dealing with that, but overall advice. I know you mentioned before how you handle your load and can take on some. You have a way of doing that. So you seem like you're not stressed, but we don't know for sure. So can you give us maybe some advice in that area, just overall for a man who...
I definitely wear stress a lot better than most people do. But I just feel like I said, it doesn't make me any better or less than anybody else. It just means that I've learned how to handle how life comes. Like I'm a person where I'm not thinking about next year. I handle I'm not gonna figure everything out in 24 hours. So I think about what I can handle today. So one thing that I would preach to fathers, young fathers, old fathers, number one, the most important thing is to be there. Like it's easy to just drop money off at them. But like I said, that was one of the struggles that me and his mother had when we was in the earlier parts of our relationship and parenting is she constantly being at home doing what she got to do with kids, and I'm popping in here and there. But I'm in my mind, I'm providing, I'm bringing home the money, I'm paying the bills, like what you upset for. Then take us to go to therapy, and I hear it differently from a therapist because it's not coming from an angry place, it's coming from somebody that's analyzed people that they do not know, and they're telling you what they hear.
So you hear that therapy is a good thing.
I recommend therapy for couples, I recommend therapy for people individuals, because everybody needs that outlet. Whether it's some people you rather write in the journal, that's therapy. That's a therapist as well. That's a therapist as well. But
you said praying before, absolutely.
Yeah, there's different forms of therapy, music, whatever your therapy is. But don't use your therapy as a vice. Like you can't run from problems. You gotta face certain things. You gotta have certain conversations, and that brings me to that point. But like I said, it's with dads, we have to get comfortable with having uncomfortable conversations. So even when we may not want to talk about it, or we may feel like we're tired of talking about it, or we know how you're going to act in response to whatever the case is, like we always have to be the ones, like I said, to kind of keep the head on the horse. So let's sit down and actually talk, and that's the biggest thing, healthy communicate. You can communicate what you want to me, but if you're not being healthy with communicating it to me, I can find every reason to not listen to you. If you come to me saying, hey, let's sit down and talk about this, and you come with not only the intent to be heard, but to do some hearing as well.
To understand and listen.
Exactly. When you're not, when you work into it, exactly. When you come into a conversation with that mentality, you're not going to get nothing out of it. That's the same thing as if I tell myself right now, I don't feel like talking on the phone, and I'm texting somebody, and they can call my phone right after that 1 second. Before I even pick up the phone, I have an attitude. Because I don't even feel like talking. You have a mindset already that you're not even giving it. This person could have been calling you to say, I hope you're having a good day and I love you. And you got an attitude for no reason. So you have to kind of catch yourself in certain moments to go into say, even if you can't, it's fine to take moments to not talk about certain things. Even a healthy way of communicating is saying, hey, I feel a little crazy right now. I don't feel like talking. Everybody's the best time. Let's revisit this some other time. That's perfectly fine.
That's why that people still don't listen.
And that's
Some
the
people
problem.
only respect violence.
That's the problem, and that's why
really the problem.
like I said, for me, the biggest thing, healthy communication. A lot of the times, a lot of situations go left because of bad communication. People don't want to sit down and talk about nothing. People don't want to listen to nothing. People don't want to be accountable for nothing. You can never do wrong. Accountability is something that even now, with me being 3 years removed from me and my son's mother's relationship, the biggest turn off for me is somebody that cannot be accountable. I can't deal with that. I don't even try to deal with that now. Because like I said, when I realized...
Yeah, especially with somebody who's like, I'm going to speak for myself by taking accountability to the point where it's like, all right, sometimes you need to admit it to the other person, but most importantly to yourself.
Yeah.
And knowing what you got to do differently, what you got to change on, and then actually trying it and doing it.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work. So to have to deal with somebody who act like, oh, I'm not a problem, or I don't get, it's like I don't even have the energy, the capacity to even try because you're so lost in the sauce. It's crazy because you're a victim.
Yeah, and
you
that's
still
the problem.
a victim.
Yeah, and that's the problem. And that's why, like I said, the biggest thing that I can tell dads is you got to tune out the outside noise. A lot of the times when I realized I was being compatible with my son's mother, it was because I was low-key looking for some type of approval. Am I doing a good job? I'm a good dad, right? You hear that from the world. You walk down the block and hear that from my neighbor. And the random people on social media that only see a small window of the father that I am. When it don't come from the person, not even just verbally. Sometimes it's just, like I said, actions speak louder than words.
Appreciated.
If you're not exact.
And that does go a long way.
Appreciation is shown and not just saying I appreciate.
And that's so funny.
Appreciation is just like, hey, I know like if something happened at the school, he had a doctor's appointment. Appreciation and respect would be the first person I'm calling is his father. It wouldn't be his father, the last one finding out.
Well, you shouldn't have to deal with that. You dealt with that?
I've had to at one point, but I feel like that came from, that's a whole conversation.
So are you our father up here who hasn't or has dealt with issues where it wasn't always easy to be a dad?
It wasn't, and I'll say this because
we need to get into a little bit of that.
Even with me being the great dad, we understand it. I've had to understand that I'm not the only person that's been through something. Mm-hmm. So me being around my son's mother and learning about her all these years prior to me having a kid, certain things you pay attention to. The relationship that she may have with her father, the relationship that she may have with her parents or my daughter or her friends, certain things that she chimes out on when she's in an argument, how she responds when you're talking to her about herself, and all of these things to where you kind of find certain things and you can see it, and you probably choose not to. Or me, for my thing personally, I feel like I was Superman. I feel like I was Superman, yeah. I'm feeling like, hey, look, everybody don't know or hasn't experienced a good, genuine person in their life. So I'm not going to expect you to always know how to handle it. Plus, me knowing that you came from raising a little girl by yourself, basically with your mom, and you not knowing what it's like to have an actual father around. There's a lot of battles that I had to fight.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the thing. So
yeah.
You probably did have to go through a lot for us to accept that and know what that was.
Yeah, and then part of that is, like I said, you take beatings to get to where I'm at, but it's about understanding. I understand that you didn't have this example in your life. You and your dad's relationship isn't even great. So I have to not only defend myself as a man and as a parent, but also know that there's times when you shouldn't be defending yourself right now. Be a little bit more understanding.
Right.
A little bit more supportive of, hey, she may not know what that looks like.
Right.
So not attack her for it. That's kind of like, so there's certain things to where I did have hindrances in my parenting, but I overcame those things by not trying to always combat those things. I've been more coming from an understanding perspective, saying, hey, you've been through something. You might have had a long day, or you might have not ever seen this before, or whatever the case is, to where when we get to that bottom line, then when you get to that bottom line, you got something to push off. But if you just telling me anything or nothing's wrong and I don't know these things, I'm just taking it as you not being accountable or you just being a certain type of person.
Yeah.
You with somebody, especially when you got a kid, the biggest thing is your kid. My kid allows me the want to be understanding and the want to be patient, because my son means more than anything. Anything to hinder his growth and my relationship with him has to have some type of thought behind it. I'm not just acting on things and then messing situations up, and now I have to go through it. And now I have to have it, or somebody tell me when I can and can't see something that I create.
So the times when it was difficult, like What's one of the most difficult ways it got? Or like, was there ever a time where you didn't see your son, where you went days or weeks or?
No. Honestly, like I said, it's more so just the emotional and the arguments about it. It's like even still, we can argue about whatever she wants to, but I'm still gonna. If I did, it made it me like a day or two of me choosing to not be around. So that thing's cool down.
Okay, yeah.
But it's never been to where even if she's been like this time when she said like, hey, you can't come here, it's just that and third. And I may not have come for that day, but then the next day she realizes that not me.
Yeah.
Or even if it's like you realize it, it's me saying, yo, like, that was completely disrespectful to me. Not, you know I don't deserve that. Regardless of what arguments we may go through, whatever the case is, it should never have a hindrance.
So was you able
to,
okay, I don't know which question I should ask first. Okay, first of all, being that you say you are someone who believes that parents should try their hardest to make it work for their children, not leave over simple things that could be worked through. You said that you and your child's mom is not together anymore, and why is that? Or like, how did that happen? Or
I felt like I said, I was understanding of a lot. To where after a while, after you being so understanding.
That was my second question.
Yeah,
like,
once you
was
get
there
to
no
a
growth and the emotional aspect of?
Exactly. And once you get to a certain point of understanding, you realize at some point you gotta value yourself. And I feel like a lot of men, we lose our value and our standards by just trying to be men. By some people be out there just being entirely too free, and they don't be really actually setting up boundaries and standards for themselves. So when you have those situations, constantly dealing with things that you probably don't deserve.
Exactly.
So I had to really come out of the being supportive role and realize like if I'm only going to continue to get the back end of you, at some point I'm gonna need something from you. I'm a person where I'm not pouring into your cup, looking at what you're pouring into my cup. As long as I can hear if you're pouring something in there, I'm gonna pour as much as I want. That's the person that I am. But I've come to a point now where like I need to hear something going into that cup. If you're not putting no work, I can't deal with that. So our situation ended on a situation where it was like, I see you using these things as a crutch, and me being understanding of it is only enabling you to continue to do these things. So I can show you better than I can tell you. It led to a conversation where we just going back and forth. We both had right moments to have our arguments and that third, but it came to a certain point where there were certain things that I was dealing with that I didn't deserve. It led to a conversation that ended with a simple question. It said, what do you do, or do you think that you do, will bring to this relationship that makes this better? Like, what do you think you contribute? And there was no answer. And then she said, honestly, I don't think there's nothing. And I said, that's the only answer I needed to hear. I closed the door and I walked out. But that was it. Because at that point, I've literally gotten us into therapy 2 times. I went to therapy my own self. I was a supportive boyfriend. I was a supportive stepfather. I was a very supportive, overly supportive dad. I've been respectful to everybody in that household, even when people didn't even like me, when she wasn't speaking to people. I stopped speaking to these people. Now these people she's speaking to, and some of them don't even want to speak to me. And I'm like, I ain't never did nothing to you. I did this in the name of her.
Right.
So at some point, you be like, you know what? I'm not a Scorpio. And for that, hey, listen, I ain't a person that cares about signs. I don't believe everybody or everything is anything. Meaning, all white people are not racist, or black people are not dumb, or Chinese people do not eat cats. But I will say, after meeting 2 or 3 Scorpios that I do not like, I pay attention to horoscopes. Scorpio is not on the list for me no more. I apologize. You can be as great as people as you want to. It's a wrap for that. It's a wrap for that. That's what
what's your sign?
I'm an Aquarius, the biggest Aquarius.
Oh wow, I like Aquarius.
The biggest Aquarius, and I think we get a bad rep because I don't know. I heard a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't like Aquarius."
No, I like
you met the wrong Aquarius.
No,
you gotta meet me. You really understand what an Aquarius should be.
Or what?
I'm an Aquarius. Yeah, I'm in January. My birthday is January 26th, and my son's birthday is January 27th.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, big Aquarius.
I'm glad that you still have a great relationship with your son, even though you're not with the mom no more. Did she try to make it hard for you after the breakup, or was it still school?
I think there was times when she did it, she didn't, but I feel like I said, I came from a place of her not knowing, but also her also dealing with her own demons. Like, even along with me having beef with her, I still acknowledge the fact. I tell her that, yo, I see the work you're trying to do, and I appreciate it. Like, I mean, you are changing, but there's certain things that I tell you It's not because I'm trying to mold you into somebody that fits for me. We're not together no more. I don't care who you are. But I'm telling you, you can't be a human that operates how you operate sometimes. And it's because, like I said, we share a child together. Well, my son loves you to death. I don't want to see nothing bad happen to you. And I hope you had the same respect for me. So it's like, I feel like a lot of the things might have came from a certain place that she was fighting and still continued to try to fight from. And I maybe just got tired of being that person that was close end up being the punching bag.
Right.
I wanted to now be the coach.
Do you think there's any change now that you love? Because sometimes you could repeat things to somebody, and sometimes they don't hit them until you're like not there to say it.
No, there's still things, things that are still, I mean, problems and stuff. But she just understands that, and to a certain point, I'm gonna stop. But I'm not arguing.
I don't know if I'm acting if this is appropriate to act, but did she ever feel like she lost a good man? Or
She probably do. Honestly, like I said that humbly, I really think that she might. I really think that she might.
And in case somebody's watching and they want to know if you're single, are you single?
I am single. I'm single, but I'm focused. I'm single, but I'm focused. Like I said, it took time and effort for me to get to this place, and that takes what you do in your own self work. So not only realizing that I'm looking for a certain type of female, but I also want to be a certain type of man for that female. So with that being said, my focus isn't on the next person I'm going to be with, so I can be ready to have babies out.
Right, I was going to ask you if you wanted more. So you sound like you deserve more.
I definitely want to deserve more, but I'm not in a rush to just have kids with anybody for the sake of having kids. Like,
this has been the biggest point of this episode, knowing who you have a kid with, or just getting to know them, because you really truly never know a person until you see them in a different light, and they could change after a baby.
And then when you see them,
getting to know them,
you gotta realize that it's not always something you run from. Some people, if you
I was
love
gonna
them
say
enough,
that next.
try to coach people through things.
Yes,
like, hey,
support.
I realize what that is. It's not okay. I understand it. Now let's kind of try to get through it together. You know, you got to be on this side versus this side.
Right.
One band, one sound is the biggest thing I say in my household.
Right. So I love that you touched on about knowing your child's mother before the child, about supporting her in every aspect. It sounds like through the menstrual cycles, through the postpartum, not even knowing what that is, through just being a female period, through the emotions. So that's a great thing. And it's good to hear that there are black men out there standing next to their women, supporting them through it all, no matter what, protecting black women and just loving them and knowing how valuable they are and just caring about them. That's a great thing. I want to thank you for coming through. This was an absolutely great episode.
It was my pleasure.
Before we end, I just need you. I know you've known me for a while. I need you to tell people something good around me, please.
Something good. She's very genuine, man. The fact that she's ambitious, the fact that she's not just another female just trying to sit around and make pictures and posts on Instagram, this and the third. She's actually trying to do something with herself. She's writing books, and she's trying different avenues and daring to be great, even with being on a podcast. Like, being on camera for it to be around this world, this new generation. It's a lot nowadays. You get seen by a lot of people, so she's daring to be great and she's genuine. So for that, she deserves support.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And shout out to Vision Studios, too, for having us here.
Shout out to Vision Studios, man.
Yes, and shout out to the dads with children with autism.
Shout out to the special needs parents, and especially to my autistic parents. Like I said, a rough day ain't the only day to have, so look forward to the good ones, man. There's a lot of dark rooms, but there's a lot of light switches on them, too.
Yes, God is good. Amen.